Today I visited the area which is known as Little Rome because there are so many Roman Catholics there, to hear firsthand what happened. This is St Sebastian Church in Negombo. It is one of 6 locations that were hit. There were 3 churches and 3 hotels hit in the first wave of suicide bombings, 2 later. But it's where the most people died, and you can see why. If you look at the damage that was done by a massive blast, a suicide bomb, one bomber setting off a device that has blown the roof off the building, it's blown the windows out, and inside the building the walls are spattered with shrapnel that has punctured the plaster of the walls right across that back wall, and there's blood and flesh spattered across the walls as well. And inside we think there are scenes of crime officers, certainly Sri Lankan officials in there, surveying the damage. Now, I talked earlier to a local journalist, Prasad Mutakula, who told me what he heard. He was at home. He heard the blast at just before 9 o'clock in the morning, what he heard and then what he saw when he came here for the aftermath, immediately after that bomb went off.
People were covered in blood and running all around. The people around this area were trying to help and take them to hospital as soon as possible. I was so confused, I forgot to take my camera from the bike. I started videoing the scene from my phone. I saw people had fallen everywhere. It's hard to describe, but a single person without injury from the blast.
There were 1,200 people inside the church. They were preparing for Easter Sunday service, a service that celebrates resurrection and hope, and instead they were massacred. And you can see some of the clothes that's been sort of put together now, but would have been discarded in a hurry as people fled from the massacre after that bomb went off. You can only imagine the scene in the seconds and minutes after that blast. Now, Sri Lanka, of course, is no stranger to sectarian violence. The civil war here that ended 10 years ago killed tens of thousands of people, lasted decades. This is not thought to be a return to that kind of sectarian violence, not Tamil tigers or Tamil separatists. So far it's been blamed on Islamists, but there is a fear that this could be the country returning back to terrorist violence, at least. And I spoke earlier to Ramjan Ramanayake, who's a minister in the government, and I put that to him. I asked him whether he was worried that those 10 years of calm and relative peace had now been shattered.
I don't know why terrorist people, this brutal terrorist groups, why they found, why they monitor and why they select our country to.
So the scene now is one of people, local people, just trying to come to terms, I think, with what has happened here. Nuns walking through the forecourt of the church, as we're saying, people inside surveying the damage, and we're told that later on today they're preparing for some of those bodies to be brought here and to be buried in the burial ground. And you have to bear in mind this is just one church of 3 that were damaged, destroyed like this in the first wave of the suicide blast, and so many other people killed, mourning their relatives, or in hospital fighting for their lives, seriously injured by terrible bomb blast injuries.